Please note, I recorded this video with the intention of it being uploaded yesterday before the Roosters vs Rabbitohs game. Obviously that didn't happen and the Roosters obliterated the Rabbitohs. This video will still be shown in full though, so enjoy the video. The 2019 Nrl Finals are here, and in the past I've done some pretty shithouse predictions. I mean, my ladder predictions, my Premiers predictions. Actually, Premiers predictions is looking okay, Roosters, but I think I said the Raiders are predicted them to come last. Essentially, my predictions are terrible, but why stop there? Why not predict the NRL 2019 Finals? Let's go. So just like I did about 5 weeks ago, I have the NRL ladder prediction here, but obviously the ladder's done. The ladder's done and dusted, so we're just going to be predicting the final. So this is what I'm using the ladder predictor, but we're just picking the final. So essentially it's going to be the same as what we did before, but we've got the finals game. So Roosters versus Rabbitohs is first up. So it's second against third. It's kind of interesting that the Roosters didn't get the minor premiership and they were pretty far off it, but I do think they're the best team overall. The Rabbitohs beat them last time. However, Roosters were sort of under strength. So I think the Roosters will win this one. I don't know about points. We'll just leave the points because it doesn't really matter. The second game, we have the Melbourne Storm taking on the Canberra Raiders. This is an interesting one because initially I thought, yep, Melbourne are going to absolutely flog them. But I actually forgot the Raiders have beat Melbourne in Melbourne before. Also, the Raiders' away record has been very good this year. Something that in the past has not been good at all. I'm pretty sure it was good this year anyways. I could be wrong. Could be totally wrong there. But Melbourne, it is a fortress. And although the Raiders did beat them before, I think in the finals they'll step up. I think the Raiders will give it to them. I just think the Storm will win this week. So there you go. I think that's a safe bet. Storm and Roosters are your safe picks. Obviously, upsets do happen, but I think these safe bets, the first and second, obviously, two best teams in the comp in the regular season, so pretty straightforward there. We have Manly up against the Sharks, 6th versus 7th. This is an interesting one because Manly, I think, obviously, they're in 6th spot. I think they've been the better side throughout the season, but I think the Sharks might step it up a gear in the finals. Maybe not so much that, also the fact that Manly have a lot of injuries. I think Tapau's out, obviously Tommy Turbo's out. A lot of injuries for them. I mean, Tony Williams is going to be playing this week. It would be a very Tony Williams-like performance to come out and absolutely destroy the Sharks and then follow it up next week by playing one of the worst games of his career. But I think I'm going to have to go with the Sharks, although it's so hard to write off Manly this year. Every week I feel like I write them off and they come out and they play well, but I just feel like no Tommy Turbo, no Marty Tapau, not a lot of finals experience. Although Des Hasler is such a good coach, really rate Des Hasler, even though you've seen me talk that much smack about him at the Bulldogs back end. But in terms of Manly, he fits Manly through and through. I still think I'm going to have to go Sharks. I just think Paul Gallen, a few of those sort of guys will be able to just step up and just lead them at least to a first round victory. I just don't see them getting beat this week. Eels up against Broncos is the last game. This is a very tough one because both these sides are capable of playing very well. Broncos a little bit less than the Eels. Obviously, the Eels at Bankwest are like a top 4 team. Everywhere else, though, not so much. But thankfully for them, they are playing at Bankwest. I think it's sold out. I think your safe money is on the Eels. Broncos obviously lost to the Bulldogs last week. A lot of the time, the last round, take it with a grain of salt going into the finals, but the Eels, I just think at Bankwest, I think they'll be too strong. Although this is the sort of game I think the Broncos they'll be well up for, and I could see them coming out and putting on a hiding on the Eels. But I think Eels, they're safe bet, so that's what I'm going to go with. So first week of the finals, we're going with Roosters, Storm, and the Sharks and the Eels. So only the Sharks are the away team. So yeah, most of the home teams there. So on to finals week 2. So we have the Raiders up against the Eels. Obviously, I picked the Raiders to lose, so they're taking on the Eels who've just won. I think for this one, I think I'm going to go the Raiders. In Canberra, I think Canberra's a bit of a fortress for them at the moment. I keep saying fortress a lot, but I think Raiders at home are a very good team. Obviously, I was just talking about the Eels being good at home. Raiders even better at home. Raiders very good this year. I think Josh Hodgson and a few of those guys, I think they'll be able to lead them very well. I think the Raiders will win this one. I don't know if it'll be a flogging or anything, but I think they would be able to grind out a victory against the Eels. I think the Eels in Canberra, it's the sort of game I don't see them winning. Like I said, at Bankwest, they're an amazing team, top 4 team. Away from home, not so much. So for that reason, I'm going to go the Raiders. And that leaves us with the Rabbitohs up against the Sharks here. So Sharks would have won, Rabbitohs lost. I mean, Rabbitohs, I'm predicting them to lose to the Roosters. There's no shame in that, absolutely no shame. It's just a matter of, are they going to be able to bounce back? I don't know if Burgess will be back by then. I don't think he will be. Cronulla, they'll be riding a lot of momentum at this point. A lot of emotion too if they get through to this round with, you know, Paul Gallen still playing. And it's a hard one to pick. I think Rabbitohs have been a lot more consistent this year. I think if Rabbitohs can play anywhere near to the best of their ability, they'll easily win. It's just a matter of, with all the injuries and stuff that have happened and suspensions in the back end of the season, is it going to disrupt them too much? I don't think at this point. I think they'll be able to beat the Sharks, but I would not be surprised if the Sharks won. Moving on to finals, week 3, grand final qualifiers. We have the Storm up against the Rabbitohs. I think that is a really good clash. And then we also have the Roosters up against the Raiders. So I've predicted the top 4 to end up as the final 4, which I suppose is to the surprise of not a lot of people, to be honest. I think most people will probably predict them, apart from if you're like a Sharks supporter or Manly supporter or Eels or... who was the last name? Can't even think of the last name. Broncos. There we go. But yeah, Storm up against Rabbitohs. First versus third. I think the Storm are a better team than the Rabbitohs, especially at home. I feel like I was just saying, the Rabbitohs, I was debating whether I'd pick them against the Sharks. I think the Storm will definitely beat the Rabbitohs if it comes to this. Storm, they have a knack of getting to the grand final. Winning the grand final is a whole different story, but they definitely seem to have a way of just getting to the grand final every year, and I don't think this year is going to be any different. So I'm going to go with the Storm. I think they'll beat the Rabbitohs. Whether it be comfortable, I don't know, but I think they'll win in Melbourne. And then we move on to the second grand final qualifier. It was the Roosters up against the Raiders. I think this would actually be a really good clash. I think the Raiders are a good matchup for Roosters. The Roosters are a good matchup for the Raiders. I think it'll be a tight contest. The Roosters obviously have the experience. The Raiders not so much. I think the last time they got to this point, that's when Edric Lee dropped the ball, cost them a grand final. But I don't know. The Raiders are such a weird team where I could see them beating the Roosters. There's not many teams I could say I could see them beating the Roosters, but the Raiders are definitely one of them. Just away from home, I'm not too sure. Finals pressure on, like, this is going to be a lot of pressure on the Raiders. I think the Roosters will be too good. If the Raiders were up against the Storm at this point, I think it'd be, maybe the Raiders would knock them off. I know I picked the Storm to beat them earlier, but just at this point, I don't know. But Roosters and Storm, it's so hard to go past them. I picked them for the grand final. It's a rematch from last year. I think this is what I picked for the prediction back in like round 20, whatever it was. I think this would be a lot of people's prediction, to be honest with you. First versus second, Storm versus the Roosters. Just like last time, I'm going to be picking the Roosters. I mean, they beat the Storm last year with Cooper Cronk as a passenger. So if they can do it then, they've only improved, I think, this year in terms of their roster. And inexperience too. I know Storm obviously won the minor premiership, but like I said, take it with a grain of salt when it comes to the finals. As long as you're in and amongst the top 4, I think you're good. But yeah, the Roosters are outstanding. And yeah, I just can't see the Roosters losing to the Storm. I can't see them losing to anybody, to be honest with you. I think the Roosters, they're just that step above. I think Melbourne Storm, if they play at their best and the Roosters play at their best, Roosters, they just got that extra gear. It's just a phenomenal roster. Go through that whole squad. Can't really find a weak point in it. Whereas, you know, the Storm, the Harms are a little bit weak, a little bit inexperienced in the spine. Cameron Smith really carries them, I think. But yeah, the Roosters, they're just so good all over the park. So I think the Roosters, they're the safe bet. I think 90% of people will probably predict the Roosters to win the premiership. Although if there's any team that's going to do it, the Storm. The Storm can definitely do it. They've done it in the past. They can do it again. They didn't do it last year. Maybe this year is going to be the year that they knock off the Roosters. Maybe they won't verse the Roosters at all. Maybe Roosters and Storm both won't make it. Who knows? That's the beauty of rugby league. You never know who's gonna win. It's so hotly contested, I guess. It's so hard to predict. I mean, go through and look at anybody's predictions. Very rarely will you find someone who's predicted something like fairly accurately before the season starts. It's so hard to predict. And even 5 rounds ago, I'm sure my predictions were absolutely off. In fact, I should do a video going over my predictions in a few days time. So there we go. That might be my next video. Who knows? But yeah, I've predicted the Roosters to come from second spot and defeat the Storm in the grand final. Let's give it a scoreline. What do I think the score would be? I'm going to go I'll go 24-8. 24-8, that'll do. Roosters to win 24-8 in the grand final. So guys, those are my 2019 Nrl Finals predictions. Leave in the comment section below, what are your predictions for the 2019 final series? That's also where I'm going to end the video as well, guys. If you did happen to enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagrams on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. My Facebook page is also in the description below. And go ahead and add me on Snapchat as well. It's Mr. Luke on YT. Same as what's on the screen right now. So there you have it. Roosters vs Storm grand final. You heard it here first. I mean, you probably heard it here. Not first, actually. You probably heard it here from everyone else. But there you go. Roosters vs Storm. That's where I'm going to end the video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.